So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back once again to the greatest watch market update show. That's right. This is the #1 watch market update and the only, and I repeat, the only public service watch announcement channel in the tube, ladies and gentlemen. And I also want to say thank you very much for YouTube permitting me to come on live and to, go into your houses so you guys can see this live stream. Wow, unbelievable. That came out good. So don't forget, this is a public service watch announcement channel. And, we just ask you for a big favor, give us a thumbs up and, that'll be good. All right, guys? We also have a private watch group. It's under my name, Juan Felipe Nieves, and it is on Bookface. Play with the words. Bookface, and it's under my name, Juan Felipe Nieves. Go to About, and you'll find there Opus in Time watches. All right, guys? Beautiful. Let's get right into the show, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing I want to tell you guys is, if you guys know of a gentleman of Mr. Michael Whitmer. Michael Whitmer. Does anybody know who Michael Whitmer is? I mean, this guy is something big, Michael Whitmer. Nobody knows who he is, right? Fine, don't worry about it. I'll tell you who he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Whitmer, he is a metal researcher, a metal researcher for Bank of America, Bank of America, ladies and gentlemen. And I gotta tell you, ladies and gentlemen, with all honesty, what I read is what I read, and I do a little research, and I also have sweet, looking at Latin, different channels out there, and finding out things. And Mr. Michael Whitmer, he is the head of metals and research at Bank of America. Bank of America, playing with the big boys. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not gonna believe this, but Mr. Michael Whitmer is saying, you're not gonna believe this, but he is saying, he suggests, and these people don't make a mistake when they start talking like this. Is what it is. And I'm gonna blow your hair back and knock your socks off when I tell you this, because nobody else is gonna tell you this but me. You know how it is. I'm gonna tell you, thank you very much, Mr. Premium. Thank you very, very much for that upvote. Thank you very much. But he is saying, ladies and gentlemen, that he sees silver hitting, in the year 2026. In the year 2026, he's seeing silver going all the way up. They're not like us. All the way up. They're not like us. All the way up to $135 a troy ounce to $309 a troy ounce of silver. You heard that right. 135 and 309 a troy ounce, I mean, what I give you guys is the best, I try to give you guys everything there is, the best of me. And I'm telling you, gold will be the primary hedge and performance driver in 2026. Silver could top out between $135 and $309 a troy ounce. Unbelievable but true. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, because I have to come clean. I purchased myself. I got to tell you how it is. I got to tell you, because I'm going to tell you what I did, because I'm like that. Sí, quiero, se lo voy a dejar saber para que lo sepan, papi, como yo me siento. I just purchased, it's not a lot, but I purchased, I had to do it. I felt like I had to do it. I purchased, starting the year correctly, I purchased 30 ounces of pure silver, 99.9, So just to let you know how I feel about silver, when I hear those numbers, I wanna get on it. I wanna get on some more. I wanna keep on stacking up, some silver. I'm just letting you know what's going on, okay? I'm letting you know what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not gonna believe this, but we're gonna start off with rhodium. Rhodium is at $9,600 a troy ounce. That is rhodium. Palladium, ladies and gentlemen, palladium is at $1,881 a troy ounce. Platinum, platinum is unbelievable. Platinum is going all the way to Mars. I'm being honest. Platinum is going all the way to Mars. Unbelievable but true. But ladies and gentlemen, platinum is at $2,435 a troy ounce. And ladies and gentlemen, the one that all of you love to love, because you're wondering why is the Rolex watches, precious metal going so high, And the honest truth is because gold is going to the moon. Gold is going to the moon, Thank you very much, Wicked. I know you will be happy for me. And I know that you feel it happy for me. I know you do, Papa. And tú eres un hombre serio. You're a serious man. So I know that, And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, gold is at 4,000. Papi, I'm telling you, this is going all the way to Mars. Not to the moon. Forget about the moon. I let these, these cheap knockoffs keep on using, my catchphrases, all the way to the moon. This is going all the way to Mars. All the way to Mars. When I use a catchphrase and I get tired, I let it go. Let it go. Let another crumb bum sandbag use it, Let him get the credibility. But it's at $4,510 a troy ounce. Unbelievable that gold, But I kept you the last one because I'm happy, I kept you the last one. Does anybody know what is the troy ounce price of silver today? Does anybody know? Anybody know? Does anybody know? You can Google it. I let you Google it and everything, Ladies and gentlemen, you won't believe this, but my grandchildren gave me this new, coffee. Look at that. It's loading, It's unbelievable. Loading energy, Unbelievable. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Wicked is on fire, ladies and gentlemen. Thurston is on fire, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of this jungle juice, because I'm celebrating with all of you. We all look at different channels, and here it goes for me. The troy ounce price of silver, ladies and gentlemen, is at $82.42 a troy ounce, ladies and gentlemen. This is unbelievable what's happening in the world. The world is upside down, ladies and gentlemen. There's no stopping this catastrophe that's coming our way. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening. No sean lambones, no sean palomos, You gotta be thinking smart. Your head is not only for hair. Your head is for thinking, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I repeat things to you 5, 6, 25 times. Because I wanted to penetrate, penetrar, penetrate all the way in, ladies and gentlemen. Silver, I had to do it, ladies and gentlemen. When I heard that guy, I told you about that guy, Michael Whitmer. Don't forget his name, Michael Whitmer, he's a metal researcher at Bank of America. And he's saying that silver is going to be at any moment. 135, he said, is a cinch. He said 135 is a cinch. Between $135 a troy ounce to $309 a troy ounce. And I wanted to get on that bandwagon, Papi. I wanted to get on that bandwagon, and I had to do it, I had to do it. I had to get on it. But ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to know something, that in this channel, we come to tell you everything. We talk about everything. Gold, watches, crypto, all that good stuff we come to talk about. Even the players, from over there, from Pennsylvania Avenue, that they have all the tricks. And they know everything. And, they got that young kid that's like 6 feet 9 inches, I believe he's the son of the guy from Pennsylvania Avenue. Smart kid. When you hear this, you're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen. You're not exactly. You know what I'm saying, Wicked. You know what I'm saying. But ladies and gentlemen, this was just in. It just came in through telefax. Kino got the telefax and he passed it to me. And I must read it, ladies and gentlemen. And when I tell you this, this guy is like Robin Hood. The guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he's like Robin Hood. This is something unbelievable. These people, the owners of the world, they get to hang out. They're all getting prepared, for Bohemian Grove. Do you guys know what the Bohemian Grove is? They salute the owl. They salute the owl, and I got to salute them so they don't, they don't throw a thunder lightning on my TV antenna and shut us off, I got to tell you the truth, I'm telling you, these owners of the world, unbelievable. And when I tell you this, you're going to go, oh my God. But here it goes, ladies and gentlemen. Just in from the telefax. The United States government could seize, I repeat, could seize over 60 billion in cryptocurrency from Venezuela. 60, papi. You know, I'm telling you, that guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he's like Robin Hood. He's taking money from everywhere, you know? Seized $60 billion in cryptocurrency, ladies and gentlemen. This is unheard of, ladies and gentlemen. Please write whatever you want. Say whatever you want. Argue whatever you want. I don't care what team you belong to. If it's the red team or the blue team. Es la misma mierda con diferente peste. Stink, you know? Stinky. It's the same thing. They play, they hate each other, but at the long run, reparten el pastel. You know what pastel is? You know, they cut the cake in pieces and they all get paid out. You know what it is? 60 trillion, excuse me, yo mismo, volví loco aquí, no dije trillion. 60 billion, ladies and gentlemen. You don't believe me? You Google it. You Google it. You know, this just came in the wire. They could seize over $60 billion in cryptocurrency from Venezuela. That's all I got to say. But ladies and gentlemen, you know, on this channel, we keep on dropping knowledge to you guys for free. There was this big whale, you know, a mystery whale. I don't know when it was. I think it was January the 3rd when the troopers, you know, Delta Force, they all went there, you know. They went over there to get that guy, you know, Maduro, you know, Plátano Maduro. They went to get him over there. This is unbelievable. You guys should be listening to all this. This is an unbelievable show. I mean, I'm just letting you know, this is an unbelievable show, what I'm talking about, you know. They went over there January the 3rd and they got the guy. Let's go. You know, they took him. I got to tell you more things because you need to know how the world operates. So this mystery, you know, whale, he went online. Everything that I'm telling you, you must Google it so you can get smarter, you know? You can get smarter, you know? You know what I'm saying? A billion here and a billion there, papi. Robin Hood, papi, Robin Hood. Nothing for you and nothing for me. $60 billion in cryptocurrency. Lo están jodiendo, papi. Están acabando. So the mysterious whale went over there, online gambler, and he put that they were gonna, that night, they were gonna remove, that day, you know, remove. He put over there, you know, in Las Vegas, you know, he put there, you know, I don't know what it was, if it was 2 million, 1 million, 500,000, I don't know, allegedly, you know, allegedly. Everything that I say is allegedly, you know. I don't want no TV antenna, thunder, lightning, and knocking me out, you know. But the mystery guy put there, I'm going to just round it off to a cool $500,000. And he hit it, papi. Then, you want to know something else, how the American people are, or the people of the world, because it's the whole world. You know that guy, you know, Nicolás Maduro, you know, Nicolás Maduro, when he was arrested, he was giving thumbs up, you know, with the handcuffs on. The handcuffs were on. You know, he was giving thumbs up, like everything is gravy and beautiful. And, you know, and he was giving, you know, peace signs. You know, I never seen a criminal giving thumbs up and peace sign. You know, like it's all, you know, it's all staged. You know, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I see, you know. I'm not saying that's what it is, but, you know, throwing peace signs, you know, they got Celia Flores, his wife, like 10 years older than him, you know, patá por las nalgas, let's go. And he's throwing peace signs. But ladies and gentlemen, do you guys know that Mr. Nicolás Maduro was wearing a sweatsuit? You know, a sweatsuit from that, you know what I'm trying to say. You know that, you know, he was wearing a jumpsuit, a warm suit. I don't know, warm-up suit. You know, like those basketball players they wear, and they say here Nike. Nike, and he had the jacket on, and he had the sweatpants on. And ladies and gentlemen, it's so you can see. The jogging suit. There you go. There you go. Thank you very much, Thurston Howard III. Eres grande, papá. Un abrazo, un cariño, Thurston, coño, for helping me out always. Because Sweet Kid Kino here es un lambón y un palomo. He doesn't help me out. Thank you. So he had that jogging suit on completely, not the Nike jogger. You know it, Mr. Premium. You tell him. You tell them, Mr. Premium, they're not like us. They're not like us. All the way up. All the way up. Ladies and gentlemen, people are they're like sheeps. They went to every Nike store, Nike outlet, and they bought the jogging suit that Nicolas Maduro had on. It's sold out. You can read what Mr. Premium just put down. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm telling him, Alex, but he doesn't wake up. Every child, every little kid, you know what it is to admire un criminal, un narcotraficante, and the guy had the Nike jogging suit, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to tell you. Let me drink a little bit of more jungle juice because I can't believe it, ladies and gentlemen, Even Nike is involved in the system too, I'm telling you, Nike is part of the gang, part of those people, they're not like us. They're not like us. We're different. Nike has sold out every jogging suit that there is. No more suits. Hicieron la zafra. You know what zafra means? They made a killing. Nike made a killing on Maduro's. Nike here, with the jogging pants, and he's walking, he's throwing peace signs, and he's giving thumbs up, and saluting the owl. Unbelievable. It's a whole business, ladies and gentlemen. Nike is making money with Maduro. We thought that, that girl, Caitlin something, Caitlin, the basketball girl, that basketball girl. Maduro, man, he sold every single thing. Now they got back orders because little kids, 5 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old, want to throw thumbs up and peace signs with handcuffs on. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. You hear in this channel the truth and nothing but the truth. I mean, so help me God. I'm telling you, I'm saluting the owl one more time because I don't want no problems with them. I don't want no problems. This is all allegedly, I'm telling you, this is what it is. This is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. You don't understand. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you how powerful. Let me tell you how powerful. Exactly, Thursday, coño. La manteca, papá. Mucha manteca, coño. Mucho queso blanco, white cheese, bricks of white cheese. But I'm going to tell you something about Venezuela that you guys don't know because you guys still believe that Venezuela is Mexico, And I got to keep on teaching you it's not Mexico. This is a different country, But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Venezuela is now a strategic U.S. asset. Venezuela currently has 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserves, 34th largest in the world. Listen and learn. No sean palomos. Listen and learn. I said it wrong. Sweet Kid Kino prepares this and I read it, I read it because, I'm like that, Kino says that when he goes to the bathroom, he starts writing things down, I'm letting you know what he does. So all this information comes from the bathroom. Unbelievable, but true. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen, Venezuela currently has 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserves, 34th largest in the world. 302 billion barrels of crude oil reserves. Largest. Listen to this. Largest. Kino, no te metas. No te metas, Kino. Déjame tranquilo. Yo soy así, Kino. Coño. This Kino's unbelievable, He gets mad when I'm doing a good show, He messes it all up for me. I'm doing a good show, Kino, Coño. I lost where I was, It's loaded, papi, loaded. Venezuela is loaded in every aspect. Pero ustedes los lambones, you think that Venezuela is Mexico. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, these American people. You know, what's happening with you people, you know? Geographic, you know, miren el mundo, coño. Kino, no te metas. Alex me lo está diciendo que no te metas. No te metas. No te metas. You know, largest in the world, 302 billion barrels of crude oil reserves. Largest in the world, papi. Largest in the world. You probably thought it was Saudi Arabia or Iran. You know, uno soplamoco de eso, los soplamoco de eso. Mentira, they're not. You know, it's Venezuela, papi. Venezuela, papi. Esto es como la película Mad Max, Mel Gibson. You know, the guy with the bald head. He had like a man boy, a man chick. You know, it's unbelievable, that movie. You gotta see it. I'm gonna see it tonight, Mad Max. You know, because this guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he's reminding me of him already, you know? He's unbelievable. But ladies and gentlemen, like I was telling you, you know, the world, you know, the largest in the world, you know, crude oil reserves, largest in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 billion tons of iron ore reserves, you know, worth nearly $600 billion. Papi, that's Venezuela for you people. Venezuela lo que es riqueza y riqueza y riqueza. Rich, 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 papá. Esto está malo, papi. Estamos jodidos. The world's upside down, ladies and gentlemen. Dark times are coming now. January, February, March. Esto está jodido, papi. Be careful, ladies and gentlemen. This is the only channel that's going to tell you the truth, ladies and gentlemen. You know what it is? 27 organic watch channel subscribers and only 13 thumbs up. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. And then when I say it, they run to the hills like prostitutes. You know, unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't care. I'm still going to give it to you, you know. I'm still going to give it to you. You know, I'm telling you, worth nearly $600 billion. And ladies and gentlemen, wait till you hear this. This is a beauty, papi. This is a beauty when you hear this one. Para que no sean lambones. You guys are crumb bums. You guys are sandbags. You guys are cow tippers, possum kickers, tomato cans, crayon eaters. You understand me? Palmolive dish lickers. You know? Palmolive. You know, your mother and my grandmother would use Palmolive to clean the dishes. You know, liquors, ladies and gentlemen. Wait till you hear this one. You're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen. 8,000. Read this. Read this. 8,000 plus. 8,000 plus tons. Tons. You ready, ladies and gentlemen? Tons. 8,000 plus tons. Does anybody know? Come on, Alex. Tell me what it is. You said it. Somebody said it. Tons of gold resources. Unbelievable, bro. Venezuela, papi. You know, this is why he says. This is why he says that Venezuela now is strategic U.S. asset. Ustedes son unos lambones. You got to stop. Listen to me. Stop looking at news and TV. Read. Read. You got to go into those private news channels that Kino belongs to. You know? That Kino belongs to those dark channels. You know, Kino puts on a mask and he goes there and he sees the real truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. We see the truth for real, ladies and gentlemen. You know what it is? 8,000 plus tons of gold resources over there. Papi, they don't have the machinery. Remember I talked to you about that? They don't have the machinery. They don't have nothing over there. So this guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, you know, he's a businessman, you know. That's what he says. I think he's like Robin Hood, but he says he's a businessman. And that when he starts pulling out all that oil, all that crude oil, you know, petro, you know, all that petro, he's going to give a piece of the action to Venezuela the way it's supposed to be done. You know, that's what he's going to do, you know, in his lap pet. You know, he has a pet. You know, he has a lap pet. His name is Marquito Rubio. He sits on his lap. You know, unbelievable, that Marquito. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But ladies and gentlemen, there's more stuff here, ladies and gentlemen, that I have to keep on telling you, you know. The largest in Latin, this is the gold resources they have is the largest in Latin America. Increíble, padre, una locura. Esta gente, coño, man. And I do this, with the. I want to thank you very much, Wicked, for that super thanks. I don't like to use the word super chat. That sounds ugly, for that super thanks, for that super love. So I want to take a moment to thank very much Mr. Wicked. Muchas gracias, Wicked. You're for real, papá. Tú eres uno de los míos. Tú eres uno de los míos. Thank you very much. You understand what Kino does and how hard he works and how he prepares, papers and cardboards. And he does this to me so I can read them, all that kind of stuff. So we have to thank Sweet Cake Kino for that. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this. 500 plus million tons of coal reserves. 2% of the world's total renewable. Fresh, listen to this. You're not going to believe this when I say this. Este país is loaded. When you say a country is loaded, it's loaded, papi. It's loaded, man. Wait till you hear this. But try to listen to my words. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, 2% of the world's total renewable fresh water. Fresh water, virgin water, nobody's touching. Fresh water. These motherfroggers have so many things in that country that I'm not even gonna get. This is too much for you guys. This is too much for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Untapped, untapped. La agua está pura, papá, para darte un baño, así para atrás. Kilo, jálame para atrás. Jálame para atrás, Kino. Jálame, Kino. Jálame, Kino. Un poquito más. Allegedly. Saluting everybody. Don't get mad at me, ladies. Gracias, Kino. Coño, Kino, eres grande. Kino's the best. Ladies and gentlemen, this is unbelievable, It's just so many things here, untapped, man, water, minerals, and now listen to this. Strategic minerals, including nickel, copper, and fast votes. This is what they have over there. Papi. They have everything over there. And this guy from Pennsylvania Avenue is taking all that from him because he wants it all. Let me ask you a question because, you see, I left one out for the last one. So you understand how many things that these people have in Venezuela. All the assets that they have in Venezuela. I think Mr. Thurston Howell III might know what I'm going to say now. Does anybody of you out there know what coltan is? Coltan. Do you know what coltan is? Please, how about if you Google it? I'll let you all Google it while I have a drink. Coltan. I think it's spelled C-O-L-T. That's it. That's the one. Coltan. You know who has that too? You know who has that? And there's a plane that leaves from Miami, MIA, MIA every day. And they leave over there to, one of those countries over there, Iran, with that. You know what that is? Do you know what that is? You know what that's used for? Es que no saben, no saben. Esta gente no están tan perdidos. Por eso que los relojeros los cogían de bobo todos ellos. That's why all the watch dealers will, give this to you because son unos palomos. Son unos palomos. Okay, electronic, what else? Go ahead. That's right, you're right, electronics. Congo has 70% of the world's supply. Listen to what that gentleman says. You see, I got people here, they're smart, papi. Nukes, there you go, papi. Bing, vamos ahora, vamos a joder a tu... No jodienda, muchachos, no sean pendejos. Dame la pastilla aquí, lo de los nervios. Dame la pastilla de los nervios. Dame. Dame acá. Hold on, I'm gonna drink a pill. That's Aquino. Unbelievable. I have to drink a pill because, you know, I'm giving you too much knowledge for free. This gentleman told you Congo, 70% of the world, papi. They even have that. Venezuela. Does that clear your mind already about Venezuela? Who they are? You know, ellos son un país rico. Those people should not be pasando hambre, you know, having hunger problems over there. That's a rich, rich country. And everybody, China, Russia, yes, the US, they want a piece of that cake. But you know, the guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he made a movement, Papa. He made a chess movement, strategic, you know? And he didn't care about, you know, that asking permission to the people. He said, que se jodan. He had Marquito on his lap. You know, he put Marquito on his lap. And Marquito said, vamos a meterle mano, let's go. Delta Force, let's go get this guy. And now they have all that. You know what they're saying that the gas price is going to be? I told you the other day, $1.25. $1.25. Peace to you, my brother. 30 West, peace to you. I told you $1.25. They're saying that's going to be at 95 cents. 95 cents a gallon, Bobby. 95 cents. And, you know, and they're still going to get mad. Nobody's going to be happy with that, you know? Nobody, you know what? Mr. Damon, it's coming your way, you know? It's coming your way, you know, to come down. But you got those two guys over there, you know? You got those two guys, that guy, the governor guy, you know? I don't know. I think he's the grandson of you know, la policía, Pelosi, I don't know her name, you know, and then the other guy, you know, Tim something, you know, you know what I'm trying to say exactly, you know what I'm trying to say, tantalum, hey, oh, you go, they have all that, yes, they do, Doc Mica, Florida, eres un hombre bravo, papá. I'm trying to educate these people who what Venezuela is when they're walking around sacándose los mocos, comiéndoselo, thinking that Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Nicaragua, Santo Domingo, Panamá is Mexican. Ay, señor mío, ¿a qué colegio fueron esta gente? ¿Qué le enseñaron? But I'm going to tell you, out of all those countries I told you, Venezuela, papi, they're like, you know, oh man, these people have everything. What they don't have is the technology, the machinery. You know, the ones that put the machinery, ladies and gentlemen, in Venezuela when they got oil, can somebody tell them who was the one that put the machinery there? Can somebody, you know, say that, you know? Yeah, you got the oil, but do you have, you know, la inteligencia, you know, para pompear, you know? You know who was that? Do you know who was that? Can somebody say it? Nadie sabe. Es que son unos lambones, Guino, te lo estoy diciendo, son lambones. Son lambones. The United States of America, papi. The United States of America. The United States of America. Damon, por favor. Tú eres uno de los míos, you know? Tú eres uno de los míos. Chevron, number one, papi. You know? Exxon, Chevron, Exxon. There you go. Los americanos. Los americanos, papi. Los americanos. Más nada. Olvídate de eso. BP. That's it. Unbelievable. Kino, ni una peseta. El único que dio algo fue Wicked. Pero porque Wicked tiene sentimiento. No me jodas más. Olvídate de los pampers. Get out of here. But ladies and gentlemen, I gave you that. Today is an unbelievable show. I'm telling you. When I tell you this, because we change, we go to different topics. You know, I talk to you about, you know, a gold. I talk to you about, you know, that guy, Michael Whitmer, you know, from, you know, Bank of America, you know, with the numbers that he's saying. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I always talk to you about BlackRock. BlackRock. And let me salute him because I don't want him to get offended with me. BlackRock. And let me salute him. Bohemian Grove. I'm serious, so they don't get mad at me. Bohemian Grove. And ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you this, you're not going to believe me. BlackRock and West Docs reveal the 2030 plan they have for all of us. BlackRock, Bobby. You know that guy, Fink. You know, Fink. He has horns that come out. You know, they hide and they come out. You understand me? They come out. Unbelievable that Fink. You know, from BlackRock, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, they have an unbelievable plan, you know, for us. You know, ladies and gentlemen, for all of us to make home ownership at one moment is going to be illegal. You know, the American dream, you have a house, they want to get that out of there. They don't want you to own no house or nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get scared, ladies and gentlemen. This is for 2030. I say it's already here because I'm like that. I'm stupid like that. I say it's already here. BlackRock. You don't know about this kind of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Paco told me. He said you need to pick and choose who you want to share this with because it's going to be too strong for them. And you will own nothing and like it. I'm telling you what it is, Papi. Paco Gambino will tell me, Juan, there's going to be people that are going to look at you like you have 50,000 heads. But tell them anyway. You tell them. So one day when they're sitting, rocking the chair, they're going to go, man, that Puerto Rican crazy guy wasn't crazy, you know? He was telling us what it was. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, BlackRock, West Docs reveal the 2030 plan they have for all of us to make home ownership illegal. To make home ownership illegal for the middle class. How you like them apples? I was keeping for the middle class for the ending. For the middle class. I don't know about you, but I'm middle class. And Sweet Kino, and Sweet Kino is under me, okay? But they want to make ownership of homes illegal for the middle class. For the middle class. But let me explain to you. In the year 2016, the World Economic Forum revealed a chilling blueprint. A chilling blueprint. You know the blueprints. And ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you this, 90% of all cars will be gone. 90% of all cars will be gone. 2, they will have car free smart in the city. You know, smart cars, you know, in the city, you know, electric cars. You know what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen. 3, you will be sharing housing for everyone. Papi, this is the plan they have. This is Papi, this is BlackRock. That guy. I'm already 63, Papi. They can come and get me now. And I'll just leave with them, you know? And they'll correct me. Everybody gets corrected, you know? I'm waiting for them to correct me. You know, take me in, you know? And they can put a chip in me and change me my mind the way I think. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you. You think this is 20 years away. But I must say, it's already here. Okay? It's already here. In the 1970s, a house cost 2.4. The average annual salary today, it's 7.1. times point. Your dad bought a home at 25,000 on one salary. Unbelievable. This is crazy, man. $25,000 a house on one salary. On one salary. You're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen, because, I got to tell you all this, You can't buy one at 35 without two working. That's BlackRock, papi. BlackRock es una jodienda. Piedra Negra, papi. Póngase, coño. Póngase. Look what I give to you guys for free. Because you guys are working the whole day. You're in the system working the whole day. Me too. I'm in the system. But every once in a while, I go to the bathroom and I'm there for 2 and 3 hours. And they're looking for me. I'm in the bathroom. I don't care. The working man is getting screwed left and right, ladies and gentlemen. Deep, ladies and gentlemen. I bet you the Warriors fat bastard's not gonna tell you this. I bet you Deputy Boxing Black Eyes is not gonna tell you this. The hungry hippo, Mr. Magoo's not gonna tell you this. The 2 Jehovah Witness brothers ain't gonna tell you this. Big Pun and Heavy D ain't gonna tell you this. The 2 toddler body brothers ain't gonna tell you this. The watch market is dead, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to show you, say, but why is this guy showing us about BlackRock? Because the watch market is dead. Because the watch market is dead. It's dead. And ladies and gentlemen, and that's not your fault. Everything that's happening that I told you is not your fault. That's their plan. You understand me? The housing shift in the 1970s, home prices tracked income closely over time. The link broke. Today, wow, home prices outpace wages, rent rose faster than savings, ownership moved out of reach. For many, this didn't happen overnight. It happened by policy, credit, and secrecy. You understand me? Papi, tú estás jodido, papi. Tú estás jodido. Están jodido. Since 2020, my God, man. My God, since 2020, the GOP widened home prices up. Listen to this, man. It's disgusting. I'm going to just say something about my house. My house from the year 2020 to where we are today, you're probably not going to believe what I'm going to say, and that's fine. From where it was from 2020 to today, my house has gone up. Papi, I swear, Scout's honor. You know what I'm saying, Thurston. It's doubled up, man. Doubled. If my house costs, I'm just going to make it simple for you guys because I don't like to talk about numbers here, about my personal life. But let's say my house costs $100,000. Today it's worth $225,000. In 2020, it already made money because this house was built, it was done in 2002. In 2002. So 2002 to 2020, we have 18 years. It already elevated in pricing. But from 2020 to 26, it doubled up whatever it was. Okay, dude, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Do you guys believe what I'm saying or you think I'm sketching you? Thank you very much, Alex. It's doubled up. Una cosa de loco. Una cosa de loco. Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's crazy. And I say this to you guys because here it goes. Since 2020, the gap widened. Home prices up 53%. Rent up 26%. Rent, rental, 26%. Keep in mind always, Larry Fink and BlackRock. I'm going there. Papi. Papi, this is the #1 watch market update show in the world. Chosen by no other than Fodinkee, and Goldman and Sakis, whatever you want to call them, #1, because we say the truth. We said 37 organic watch channel subscribers and 24 thumbs up. No joda, it should be like 1,000 thumbs up there. Pero no importa, porque son unos miserables. I keep on giving it to you. Home prices up 53%, rent up 26%. Listen to this, car insurance. Car insurance up 37%. Now, here's the real good one now. Wages. What you make in Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, Subway, Pizza Hut, Domino's Pizza. You know what I'm saying? Wages are up only 12%. ¿Con qué culo se sienta la cucaracha? ¿Con qué culo? You understand me? That's right. Yes, we are. You understand what I said? If you don't understand what I said, con qué culo se siente la cucaracha, you Google it, because I'm not going to tell you. Listen and learn. It's for free. It's for free, ladies and gentlemen. It's for free. But ladies and gentlemen, wages are up 12%. Now watch this. You're not falling behind because you're lazy. You're not falling behind because you're lazy. But because you were meant to, and while you struggle, someone's getting rich off you. It's a big gang, Bobby. It's a big gang. Who benefited? Who benefited with this? From this, scarcity. Who benefited from the scarcity? In 2024, a loan, BlackRock bought a loan. Listen to this, Papi. It's disgusting. When you hear this, you're gonna go, man, they're killing us. In 2024, BlackRock bought 300 plus single family homes, all in cash. Franklin, el cabezón, all cash. But listen to this, para que tú veas que macabélicos son esta gente. How Machiavellic these people are, man. Gotta make it funny for you guys. They bought those 300,000 plus houses cash. Now listen to this and learn. Single family homes outbidding families between 20 and 50%, outbidding them. Outbidding. You went to get the house, but the guy with the horns, Fink, Larry, he will outbid you. He didn't care. 50 more. Get out of here. These people, they know too much. Son una gonorrea. They're syphilis, papi. Son gonorrea, malo. They eat poop and they drink pee. Cash is king, and BlackRock knows it. You know what I'm trying to say, papi. I'm trying to give it to you the way it is. All cash outbid families by more than 20 to 50%. Rent them back, and then they rent them back. Rent, you're going to rent it now for me. Son tan malo, brother. Son tan malo. I told my wife the other day, we got to die in this house. We can never leave this house. They're coming for a house. They want a house too. They want everything. These people are demons. These people are demonic. Son una gonorrea, papi. Son una gonorrea. It's unbelievable what I'm telling you. Then they rent it back to you for 40% more. Remember when they said listen to this. These are the words that Mr. Damon quoted right now. If you look, it's there. These are the words. And here it goes from these people. These people are so macabélico. These are the words that Damon said. When they said, you own nothing and be happy. That's their plan, papi. They don't want you to buy no houses. My daughter and my son, what they have purchased their properties for is scary. I say to myself, and I told my wife in bed, I said, oh my God. Let me just put it this way so you understand what I'm talking about. Over a melon, not half a melon, over a melon. If you don't understand, that's your problem. Over a melon. So that means if any of your children are looking for houses or apartments, se jodieron, papi. Se jodieron. Se jodieron. I'm talking about my children personally. I didn't tell you nothing. I didn't tell you what they pay. I'm just telling you, papi, over $1 million. Sigue por ahí para abajo. But how can that be over $1 million? But for, you know, he's a young kid. Over, you guys don't believe me? Or you think I'm, Thurston, am I lying to you, Thurston? Thurston, am I lying? Over $1 million. Cualquier casita, any little house, over $1 million. And let me tell you something. I haven't gone, I don't know. I haven't still talked to you guys about, I don't know if you guys know, 9 months ago or 10 months ago, there was a big fire somewhere in Pasadena. You know, don't make me go there. You know, don't make me go to Pasadena, California. I mean, Damon, are you there, Damon? Are you there, Damon? You know, Pasadena, California. People don't want to build no more houses. People don't want to build no more houses. My hometown, there he is. Damon, let him know what's going on. Let him know, Damon. Let him know what's going on. They don't want to build. They don't want to go through no more fires and no more. But the guy with the antennas, he's ready. You know? You understand me? But that's for another day. You know, that's for another day because, you know, this is powerful what I'm giving to you guys, you know? You know, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's what they meant. And that's only phase 1. So, wow. I got to tell you all this so you guys can get prepared. You know? No, there's no solution here, papi. There's no solution. You're dealing with the Rockefellers. You're dealing with J.P. Morgan. You know? You're dealing with the Rothschilds. You're dealing with State Street, Vanguard. You understand me? DuPont. You know Flagler. You know who Flagler is? You know Flagler? Papi, tú estás jodido. They already own you. And your house, they own everything. Papi, but people think, oh, I live in this country. I don't want to name names. I live in this country. That doesn't happen here. I live in that country. It doesn't happen. Esto para todo el mundo, papi. It's for everybody. It goes like that. That's it. Over there, get them over there. Over here, get them over there too. They get you. You know how many people live in an apartment over there somewhere? Saludos, Mr. Donut. Saludos. I don't know if it's China, but let me tell you, or Korea. I don't know. I think they live in 500 square feet. This is no lie, ladies and gentlemen. 500 feet. Probably an average of 6 people. If they can do it, we can do it too. You know? That's how they see it. How is future for the middle class? Well, look, you won't believe this. You won't buy a car. You will share a ride. You won't own a home. You'll rent a pod. You won't think freely. You won't think freely, papi. They don't want you thinking freely. They want to keep on dumbing down of us. I'm surprised I still haven't had a thunder lightning hit me, man. I'm surprised. You will not think freely. You will not think freely. You'll follow the system. You'll be in debt and keep your head down and live to work. And live to work. Gracias, Kino, por todo lo que pusiste aquí, Kino. Vi un par de palabras que no las entendí, pero está bien, you know. I said to Kino, thank you very much for everything he wrote down for me. There were a couple of words I didn't understand, but I understood it was that word, you know. So I, you know what I'm saying? Unbelievable. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. What you guys get for free is unbelievable. What you guys get for free, we are slaves, papi. I don't care what you say. We are all slaves. Somos esclavos. You know, we're the walking sheep into the slaughterhouse. I'm telling you like it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm no preacher. I'm no preacher. I'm no preacher. I just read. I just read, ladies and gentlemen. I just read. This is an unbelievable show we have here today, ladies and gentlemen. You know, an unbelievable show. You will live to work. Sounds impossible until you realize you're already halfway there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Those people are genius, man. I mean, those people, Kino, son bravo, coño, BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, State Street, son bravos todo, coño, Kino. Si son todo una gonorrea. And then the kingpin that doesn't have to do nothing is that guy, you know, Sir Rothschild. He's sitting over there, you know. He's there. He's getting paid. You know, he's getting paid. Pennsylvania Avenue. If you take $60 billion in cryptocurrency, give me my cut. Everything is allegedly. Everything is allegedly. Let me salute the owl. You know, the Bohemian Grove. You know, the Bohemian Grove, ladies and gentlemen. This is all for free, papi. This is all for free. Don't get scared. It's all for free. It's all for free. You know, it's all for free. Ladies and gentlemen, the cracked system, you work so many hours, still can't get ahead. You save what you can, but it's never enough. You do everything right, but still feel trapped. That's not failure. That's by design. But there's a crack in their system. You know, papi, lo que te estoy tirando, making bean, papi. Let me drink some water, you know. Maybe you guys want to put a couple of comments and I'll read them, you know. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable, Bobby. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you what it is. You know, it's unbelievable. You guys, you know, I'm telling you because you guys need to know this, man. I tell you this because I'm a good man. I'm a good man, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a good man. I'm a good man to tell you what I'm telling you. You know, I can be in bed right now, you know, with my little doggy. You know, we got a small little doggy. You know, we have a Pekingese. You know, we have a Pekingese. She's terrible. You know, she's terrible. She's a gold digger. Unbelievable, that little Pekingese. She's a gold digger. I even call her gold digger. You know, unbelievable. You know. The crack is gold, papi. There's a crack is gold, papi. Gold and platinum and silver and palladium and rhodium, all that stuff, you know? Unbelievable. A little bit of this jungle juice, you know? Look at this. This is what they gave me, you know? It's unbelievable. The crack is precious metal, papi. It's a crack. Está bueno Macallan. El Macallan está bueno. Macallan. I'm drinking Macallan today. She's like Joaquin's girlfriend, you know. I got a little Pekingese and she's a little rat. But, you know, she sleeps in the bed with us and everything, you know, because, you know, this dog is, my wife even puts little plastic, little boots on her feet to walk. I don't know, my wife is like a maniac, you know. I said, you got to stop that. Let her be an animal. Puts little, you know, booties on. You know, I don't know about that, but I love her. And her name is Bailey. You want to know her name? Bailey. Like the Bailey drink, you know, Bailey, the alcoholic, you know, after drink. You know what I'm trying to say, Mr. Dolan. She's unbelievable. I got to show you a picture of her one day, you know, but she's always with the wife, you know. I sometimes try to, you know, hug my wife and she goes like this with me. Unbelievable. Irish cream, correct. And she's loud. She's very loud. If she gets, that's why she's all over the other side of the house. I don't hear her, you know. She is, ladies and gentlemen. She is. She's prettier than the, you know, Eugene, the human testicle, you know, more cuter than him. I'm telling you, this guy is, you You got to see this. You're going to see it. I'm going to show you a picture of her one day. And this is the final. This is the final. This is the final, ladies and gentlemen. The final truth. This isn't a conspiracy. It's a restructuring, restructuring step by step by the elites of the world. Trade your freedom for their order. And it all starts with one question. Will you resist or comply until there's nothing left to own? All right, guys? There it is. That's for you guys, Papi. That's for you guys. I give it to you the way it is. There's not a channel like this one. That's right, Thurston. There's not a channel like this one. I want you guys to understand that. You know, they can continue telling you that this is this is that. Nosotros estamos aquí prestado. You think you own the house. No, you just, you're just watching it. You're watching their house. I already told my wife they want our house. There's no resisting. You must. That's right. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, they have a big plan. And, it's incredible because that guy, I might make fun of them and all that, but, they have something that, man, they got it down packed. And if you ask me, well, one, let's say since the millennium, man, I read things back then that they're already here. They already happened already. They passed by, they passed by already. It's already happened. And now it's this, they were talking about this in 2016. It's already here, Papi. In Pasadena, California, get out. Here's your money, get out. Get out, get out. They want the real monopoly game. They want you to pay rent and be happy. They want you to pay rent and be happy. Just pay rent and be obedient. You remember when I would tell you a couple of years ago, last year, 2 years, you guys are too obedient. This is what the people in the watch industry did to you guys. You were obedient because you didn't have somebody like Sweet Kid Kino to awaken you. You didn't have nobody like Sweet Kid Kino to awaken you. And Sweet Kid Kino, Kino tremendo, mano. Kino is unbelievable. I say to you guys, crumb bums, sandbags, and I don't mean it that way. I mean it in a sweet way. I don't think none of you are crumb bums and sandbags. I think some of you are cow tippers and possum kickers. But you know what I'm trying to say. I try to give you my love. To all of you, and it is what it is. I did this. Kino prepared it for me, and I couldn't believe what, he was writing down. What he was writing down. Pero estamos jodidos. Estamos todos jodidos en esta situación. Even I am the number one. For your information, I am number one, and Sweet Kid Kino's number two. We are recovering. We are the first 1-2 recovering tomato cans. I don't know who number 3 is, but I do know who 1 and 2 is, and that's me and Sweet Kid Kino. We were crumb bums, sandbags, until that's it. There's no more. I gotta protect my friends. I gotta help them out, and that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna give you guys, because we still have time to give you a watch market update, and I'm gonna give it to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna start off, ladies and gentlemen, with one of your favorite these are ones, but let's take some work. Rich quick, exactly. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Premium. Number 3 is here. Okay, Alex is number 3. He already. He said it. He's number 3. Good for you, Alex. Good for you. Ladies and gentlemen, our first watch is a Rolex GMT stainless steel Pepsi with a Jubilee bracelet. Reference number 126710BLRO. And ladies and gentlemen, you do whatever you want. You do whatever you want. If you're going to buy that watch, I'm going to give you a number. You do whatever you want, but don't pay for that watch, for this beautiful watch. Don't pay more. You do whatever you want. You do whatever you want. Cash is king. Cash is king. You go to the show, you have it in your pocket, you call the guy from over the counter to come to you. You tell him, look, I like the watch you got there. Is that watch full set? You know? Thank you, thank you. It's all to you. It's all to all of you, Papa. It's all to all of you. Thank you very much, you 40 organic watch channel subscribers. And if you're just a spoofer and you're spooking around, that's right. We like you here too. Say whatever you want, you know. Say what. Just don't bully nobody. Don't bully. Don't pay more than $18,000 and dump again. Say jodieron, dump again. Say jodieron ya, jodieron. $18,000. Don't pay more than that. Thank you, Wicked. Thank you very much, Wicked, for your support of being here. Thank you very much. Don't pay more than that. Don't pay more. And $16,500 and $16,500 for the oyster one. Dopping. You know, the oyster GMT Pepsi. Dopping again. That's another one for you guys. There it is, another one. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this, but the Rolex Daytona Darth Vader, reference number 126500LN, 40 millimeter. You know, the Darth Vader. Luke. You know, Luke, you know. Luke. You know, Luke. Don't pay. They call it, this is unbelievable. The Darth Vader, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this is the new reference number. And you do whatever you want. It's your money. Don't pay, and I mean don't pay for that watch more than $23,000 and dapping. Kino, what the atrás. Jálame, Kino. Jálame, Kino. Jala. Dapping again. Se jodió. Dapping again. Kino, no me más. Back, push back. Se jodió esto. Suéltame. Kino, suéltame, Kino. ¿Estás loco, Kino? Suéltame ya. You do whatever you want. You do whatever you want, ladies and gentlemen. You do whatever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, our next watch is a Patek Philippe Nautilus 5980 stainless steel with a blue dial. The 5980. This is an old watch from 2009, 2008, 2007, 2010. 5980, ladies and gentlemen. 5980, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable blue dial. And ladies and gentlemen, you do whatever you want. And don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't listen to those crumb bums. Don't listen to those sandbags out there, you know. Don't listen to none of them. Don't pay for that watch. You do whatever you want. You do whatever you want. But don't you pay more. And I mean, don't you pay. This is stainless steel, 5980 blue dial. Don't you pay more. Guys, you guys are still trapped. You guys are still trapped. You guys are still obedient. You guys are still obedient. Don't pay for that watch more. Don't pay more than $91,000 and dapping. Collector's grade, collector's dream, collector's choice, collector's grave. You do whatever you want. It's your money. You do whatever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a watch here that I believe that 6 people have sent me messages to please give them a watch market update on this watch. And I'm going to oblige. I'm going to give it to you because I'm stupid like that. We're talking about the Rolex. The Rolex, baby. Listen to the words, the subliminal words they use on you guys. The same words that, that guy, Fink, that guy, Fink, that guy, Fink Larry, he uses on you guys. They call this watch the Baby Le Mans. Oyster Flex. Unbelievable Oyster Flex. You know, it has a black dial and silver gauges. You know, it's like a Darth Vader, but they put you that name and you guys, como unas locas, unas cabras enfermas, you know, unas cabras enfermas. You go crazy because they call it the baby. It's a subliminal message, papi. It's an attack. It's an attack, ladies and gentlemen. It's a hate crime, what they do to you guys. It's a hate crime. It's a hate crime. Unbelievable. 40 organic watch channel subscribers and 30 thumbs up. Don't pay for that baby Lamans. Reference number 126519. You ready? Don't pay for that watch. You tell them that I said that. You take a clip and you send it to them. They love to see my face. They go bananas. They shake in their boots. They shake in their boots. Don't pay for that watch. And I mean, don't pay for that watch. Here it goes. Don't pay more than $39,500 and dropping again. Dropping again. Se jodieron esta gente. It's for you. More. Here it goes, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a vintage Omega, allegedly. Telling you, a vintage Omega Seamaster. You know, vintage Seamaster. No sean pendejo. You know, a gentleman called me up to ask me about this watch. And he said, they're selling me one that is in mint condition. Listen to this. For $4,300. And I'm hearing him. And I go, wow, man. You know, maybe he'll send Keno. Maybe he'll send Keno a thank you chat when I tell him this, you know. And he's talking to me about the watch. Ladies and gentlemen, this watch that I'm talking about is a vintage Omega Seamaster reference 2541.80. The card on that watch is from the year 2000, the millennial. But they're selling him one that he says, he was selling it to me. He was selling it to me, so I would tell him, yeah, buy it, you know? But I can't. It's not in my, you know, I can't be a scorpion, you know? I can't be a scorpion. The scorpion was a bastard to the turtle, you know? But I can't be a bad person. Please help me out, somebody, you know? Somebody help me out. So he's telling me that, and I'm hearing him, you know? I'm hearing him. And ladies and gentlemen, you said $16,000, Mr. Donut? $16,000? Wow. So the vintage... Okay, Mr. Donut, tú eres uno de los míos, papi. You're one of mine. Mr. Donut's on point, papi. Un hombre brillante. Some $4,400. He says the full set, you know, just like you say, full set, full kit. He's telling me that, you know? He's telling me all this stuff. And I thought, but sir, I'm not buying the watch. The one is buying it. You don't have to sell it to me. No, but I'm just saying because, you know, you say always, you know, not naked, this, that. And he's telling me $4,400. And I told him, sir, I'm gonna do the show today, but I'm gonna tell you already. I'm gonna tell you the price. And I told him the price already. And I'm gonna tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you're not gonna believe this. But don't pay for that watch, for that vintage Omega Seamaster reference number 2541.80, card from the year 2000 millennium. Mr. Donut said to you $1,600. And I'm going to tell you, sir, I want everybody to hear this. I want everybody to hear this. Don't pay for that watch. And I mean, don't pay. I'm telling you, I'm thinking of, you know, I'm even thinking of matching my number with Mr. Donut's number. But I'm going to tell you the number that I had and that I told him. Don't pay for that watch more than $1,700. And Dummy again. Entonces jodió. Dummy again. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't try to sell me the watch. I'm not going to buy it. I don't sell fantasies and I don't buy fantasies. You heard me? I don't sell fantasies and I don't buy fantasies. You heard what I said, ladies and gentlemen. You heard what I said. Ladies and gentlemen, our next watch is the Patek Philippe Nautilus. Stainless steel, 7118. Unbelievable, the gray dial from the year 2024. For ladies, you know, this is for somebody that has I'm telling you, I have a lot of, subscribers who have side chicks for Valentine, I don't know, their girlfriend, their wife, I don't know, maybe they're giving it to the daughter, I don't know what it is. But I'm going to tell you, you do whatever you want, ladies and gentlemen, and don't pay for that Patek stainless steel 7118 gray dial. Unbelievable. Don't pay more. And I mean, don't pay more than $66,000 and dead. You do whatever you watch. Mikey is dead in the backyard pool and floating face down like this. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Papi, I'm telling you, man, I have become so popular. Ladies and gentlemen, here's another watch for you guys. This is the AP. Listen to this watch. This is the AP Royal Oak Offshore, 43 millimeter. They call this the music box. Reference number 15600T as in Tom, I, the letter I, okay? And this watch is unbelievable. This is an unbelievable. They have out there comps on this watch for $65,000. This is an offshore. It's it's an AP Royal Oak Offshore, 43 millimeter. They call it the music box, the equalizer. When we were young and we had a 8-track or cassette and we had the equalizer and we thought we were badass. I had a blow pump. You ever heard of blow pump? I had a little old Porsche, It was old, but it was real nice. But it had a blow pump. And it even had like a gooseneck that came out. You push the buttons. That's for real. I ain't not lying to you. It's for real, guys. Not lying to you. But ladies and gentlemen, don't pay for this music box. Don't pay for this music box. Don't pay more than $39,500 and done. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, these are our two last watches coming up. It is the Omega Speedmaster Moon Face. I talked to you about this watch. I am a beast. No, for real. I'm a beast. I talked to you about this watch. Today is Tuesday. So I must have done a show probably, I think it was, I don't know, Sunday. I think I did a show. I don't know. Or Saturday. I don't know when I did, but I did a show for you guys. And I spoke to you about this watch. And I put the price down so I can remember the price that I told you about this watch. And it's an unbelievable watch. It is the Omega Speedmaster Moon Face stainless steel with a meteorite dial. Meteorite dial. It has a real long reference number. It's the 435206-001. And I told you for that watch the other day, don't pay more than $12,900. Don't pay more than $12,900. And you're not going to believe this. I'm going to tell you today because I'm stupid like that. You ready for this? So you understand how fast this is dropping. Coño, Mr. Donovan, your game is there. Es una locura. It's crazy, Alex. It's crazy, papi. It's crazy. And I have to tell you the truth. I just told you 72 hours ago. Remember that? Kenwood Pioneer Blow Prompt. There it is. Exactly. That's the one, Papa. I told you the other day, don't pay for that watch. I told you the other day, don't pay for that watch, $12,900. Right there. $12,900. I had it there because I can't believe it. And I'm going to tell you today because I'm stupid like that. A todos los lambones, all those lambones, all those backpackers, those Corona backpackers, Corona beer backpackers, what's going on? And I'm going to tell them every single day the truth. I'm going to tell you guys the truth every single day. Don't pay The only meteorite that holds something, holds it, is the Rolex meteorites. The rest is basura, papi. Eso es caca, eso es mierda. Es mierda. Don't pay. Don't pay. You know what I'm trying to say. The SEC scammers, you know? Eugene, the human testicle. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, don't pay for that watch, Omega meteorite dial. Don't pay for more than $11,000. Don't get scared. $11,400 and that. And ladies and gentlemen, this is my last watch market update of the evening, so you guys can continue skip hopping around through life like bunny rabbits. I'm going to talk to you about a watch that a gentleman by the name of Eugene, the human testicle, you know, aka Jacob McChicken. You know, this is a guy that, you know, he got pinched by the SEC and, you know, selling fantasies with, you know, penny stocks and all that good stuff, and talking about that the watches that he's offering to you people out there are 1,000%, 5,000%, you know, 6,000%. And, you know, you can't do it. Every watch that he puts up there, I'll give you the price. I'm the boss. Él es un lambón. You know, this man is it's an infection. This is why I call him the human testicle, you know? Eugene, the human testicle, aka Jacob McChicken, the SEC closed them down, all right? And to all of you out there that you like to watch him, listen to me. How dare you? How dare you buy something from a person that doesn't even show their faces to you guys? That he hides como una prostituta. ¿Tú entiendes? Porque es una cabra enferma. Es un hombre con valores pequeños, you know, with small values, you know, looking always to get someone taken. But now, you know, not while sweet Kino's watching him, you know, and he does this to him, you know. So I'm telling you, you gotta be crazy to turn over $50,000, $40,000, $20,000, $5,000 to somebody that you don't even look at their face, somebody that has some kind of, you know, shady past, you know. This Eugene, the human testicle, aka Jacob McChicken, the SEC shut you down, and they shut you down for a reason. They haven't awakened, but they're waking up. They're on to you already. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, right now, he's offering a watch, which is called the Patek Philippe 3732 yellow gold on black onyx dial, leather strap from Walmart, you know, naked, no nothing, naked. And he tells you this, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. He wants to wax your sinuses. He walks around like a vagrant walker. You know what a vagrant walker is? He walks all around. He just walks around and walks around. He's a dreamer. You know, he's a dreamer. You know, he's a lonely life. You know, he's a very lonely narcissist. He swallows some fluid always. You know, you got to see this guy. When you get to see who he is, you're going to go, coño, one wasn't wrong. This guy es una gonorrea. Es una infección. Es una gonorrea. So I'm letting you know, ladies and gentlemen. So he puts down, ladies and gentlemen, on this watch. He puts down. I want all of you to hear this because you guys need to protect yourself from these gonorrheas, you know, from these infections. You know, he has some yeets. You know, yeesh. How do they call it? Yeets. Yeet. You know what I'm trying to say? The woman gets some that stuff. You know what I'm saying? The woman. I don't know. Yeast, right? Yeast. He's a yeast infection. He's a yeast infection, you know? And I got to protect you people. You know what I'm saying? Yeast infection, ladies and gentlemen. Patek Philippe 3732, yellow gold, you know? And it has a 28 millimeter. Listen and learn. 28 millimeter by 35. It's a very, no offense. No, I don't want nobody to get it wrong. Maybe you guys could rock it. It's like a lady's watch. You know, it's for feminine, a feminine man, you know, for a mundo. So this guy, ladies and gentlemen, this Moshugana, he puts down that the latest comps on this reloj que es una porquería. I'm ashamed to tell you the price I'm going to give you, but I have to give it to you because it's what it is. Of the studies that Sweet Kid Kino does in the restroom when he goes to the bathroom. I don't know what he does in there, you know. But ladies and gentlemen, I got to give you the price. But this Moshugana, he puts there the latest comps on this watch that he's selling, $32,000, right? $32,000. And he says, but I have it for you guys. Listen to this. The latest comps that he has is for $32,000. But he has it for one of you window lickers, lollipop suckers, tomato cans, crayon eaters, sandbags, crumb bums. You understand me? You understand me? Tire kickers. You know what a tire kicker is? You ever been real mad and you kick the tire? You know, tire. It's unbelievable, these tire kickers, you know? And he's saying that he can give it to you, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to believe this. He's selling it for $19,500. $19,500. You know, a little lady's watch. You know, una cosita chiquitita. You know, small like that, smaller than my finger. You know, he's a, you know, first of all, he's a very small man. You know, a very small, petite man. He has very silky hands. You know, he's good to have you rub your back or something. You know, you understand? No offense. You know, para cogerlo de muñeca, para cogerlo de hembra. You know, you put a wig on him and you dress him up. Sorry, guys. Lo disfrazamos de mujer, you know? Está sabroso, está como una hembra, está bien, las manos lindas, pedicure. Look at him, you know? Lo disfrazamos y lo hincamos, le damos, boom. But ladies and gentlemen, he's saying $19,500. And I'm going to tell all of you, ladies and gentlemen, you do whatever you want your money. I'm not telling you to buy this watch. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, don't buy this watch. Don't buy this watch. He's saying there's going to go 1,000%, 5,000%. You know, he's crazy. You know, he comes from that field. He's a dreamer. You know, he's a dreamer. He's a dreamer. You know, he wants to. You know, he wants to. You know, clean up and wax your sinus congestion. You know, that's what I got to say. Don't pay for that watch more than $8,500. I'm not even going to give it a drop. It doesn't even deserve a drop. It's not a real watch. It's not, but don't pay that, and I wouldn't pay that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful watch market update. I hope you learned something. I really hope you learned something from this. You know, I try to give you the best I can, you know. I'm not the smartest tool, you know, in the cabinet, but I try, you know, and I have Sweet Kikino always guiding me and helping me out and showing me what I should say, you know. But again, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of you, all of you. And today we had a big crowd. I think we made it to 42, 41. I don't know, something to that effect, you know? Again, thank you very much for all of you being here. And like me and Sweet Kikino say always, take care and brush your hair. Good night, guys. Lo quiero mucho. I'll give Bailey a big love. Thank you. Thank you, Thurston. Stay cool. Bye-bye, guys. Be good. The SEC doesn't lie.